예, 안녕하십니까. 해군사관학교의 영어 교사관으로 근무하고 있는 132기 김도훈 중입니다. 오늘 발표 내용은 교수사관에 대한 이제 업무와 책임 대해서 간단히 준비해놨는데, 제가 솔직히 미국에서 한 20년 살다 와서 발표 자체는 그냥 영어로 준비해놨거든요. 그래서 일단은 영어로 진행하고 질문 같은 거 있으면 끝난 다음에 질문 받겠습니다. All right, so I am Lieutenant Junior Grade Do-hun Kim. I actually lived in Texas for about 20 years, and the reason I'm giving you my background is just to show you that even though I didn't really major in English, as long as you attend a English-speaking university, you're qualified for applying for the position. I did my Bachelor of Science in Political Science and my Master of Public Administration, as well as my Applied Statistics certificate, all at Texas A&M University. And then I worked for Oracle for 1 year as a tax analyst before coming to Korea in September 2021, where I took the interpreter exam and passed and qualified for the position. So this is the agenda for today. I'm just going to go over the overview of the role itself. I'll show you some pictures of different activities that you can be involved in, the application requirements, and I'll take questions at the end. All right, so this is just a quick overview of the role. The first thing is academic experience. So you'll be asked to teach midshipmen, which are basically the students at the Naval Academy, about 8 to 10 hours per week. And the reason why it's about 8 to 10 is because since you're an officer, you'll also be doing some of the administrative work, and so they won't overload you with a bunch of work. Of the classes listed, these are just some of the classes, but military English is the only required course that they have to take. And then media English and debate, for example, are electives. And as a professor officer, you'll also have the opportunity to work with different foreign instructors that are available at the Naval Academy. So right now there are 2. When I first got there about 2 years ago, there were 3. And I think we're looking to pick up a new instructor at some point. So by the time that you guys come, there might be 3. Basically, you work to develop different types of curricula for the English conversation classes. And so you'll just work with them in terms of what kind of textbook to use and the pace of the classes and so on. You'll also be asked to assist in managing the enlisted sailors. So the enlisted sailors actually have an office. I think there are about 8 right now, but they come and go because they're asked to partake in different dispatches and so on. So you'll only see about 3 at a time, but they're asked to do a lot of translating different documents and invitations to receptions and stuff like that. And you'll be asked to proofread some of their work sometimes. And this is a leadership opportunity, I think, that you might also have as an interpreter officer, but at the Naval Academy, there are a lot more enlisted sailors, and so you have that opportunity. Just because you're a professor officer doesn't mean that you won't have interpreting opportunities, so you'll be asked to interpret for the superintendent of the Naval Academy, as well as other admirals, depending on whether or not they visit the Naval Academy. But also, you'll be asked to attend different receptions, such as defense exhibitions and other events. So, for example, for EDEX this year, which is the Defense Expo held by the Naval Academy, I was asked to attend the reception with the Vice CNO, and I helped, lubricate diplomatic relations with other captains and admirals attending the reception. There's also MADEX and PALS, which is the Pacific Amphibious Leaders Symposium. So for PALS, I wasn't really asked to go, but some of the midshipmen were going, and so I attended with them and just helped them out in case they ran into any questions. As for engagement with the US, you can participate in a lot of different opportunities, like visiting US installations like CFAC, which is Commander Fleet Activities Jinhae, which is actually connected to the base. And so you might end up taking some midshipmen there for different reasons, as well as CNFK, so Commander Naval Forces Korea in Busan. You can also coordinate with a US exchange professor who works at the Naval Academy, and you might help him or her a lot depending on if they need something from the Korean side of things, and you can also receive help from them. You can also provide guidance to some of the US exchange midshipmen, as well as other exchange midshipmen, but primarily they'll ask you to help with the US side of things because they speak English. And basically, for this, we just took them out to eat and make sure that they're doing well because they can't really go very far, even during breaks. So, yeah. There are some other perks and benefits like getting a personal office. I think this is a big one. Most interpreter officers, I'm pretty sure, work in a shared office space. And so as a professor officer, you get your own office to work and do research as well as prepare for your next class, stuff like that. You also have opportunities to go on different trips, so like research trips and workshops throughout the year, which is about 10 business days at a time. This year, I went to Seoul and I think Busan, for a research trip. Once in January for about 10 days and Seoul for 10 days recently. There was also a workshop with Hanyang University for the Naval Academy faculty. That was quite fun too. And I think some people might not like this, but you get to live in the same place for all 3 years of your service. I know my colleagues, they move around every year or so, and so I think moving around can be a big hassle, and if you decide to come as a professor officer, you'll be working at the Naval Academy for all 3 years of your service, and so I think that could be a benefit as well. All right, so this is a picture of the midshipmen visiting the U.S. carrier, USS Reagan. I think this was about 2 years ago. This is just some sort of activity that you can be involved in. We ended up taking the midshipmen over a Saturday, I think, and they were able to go inside the carrier, see the different planes on top of the carrier and stuff like that. This was PALS. They did this at Lotte Hotel, I think near Myeongdong, this year, and basically a bunch of different Marine Corps officers and personnel from a variety of countries ended up coming and sharing their perspectives on how to improve logistics and the like. And it was a very fun experience. We only sent 2 midshipmen, but they were very smart and capable, so it was a good experience. This is the change of command ceremony at CFAC, which I mentioned before. They did this at the gym, so it looks not very exciting, but basically this is a very important ceremony for especially the US side of things because they're handing over the base to someone else. And in the middle, you'll see Admiral Neil Kapowski, who is now in charge of CNFK in Busan. These are the 2 or 3, I guess, exchange midshipmen that we took on last year. The 2 in the back are the US exchange midshipmen, and in the front is a Japanese exchange midshipman. And this was during Christmas. We were invited to attend like a Christmas evening party at CFAC, and you're free to attend that as well. And this is the midshipmen playing volleyball with the U.S. CFAC personnel. And this is just at the general store. This is all part of the English or American Culture Club that we have at the Naval Academy, and you can be part of that, making sure that all the midshipmen are able to get there safe. And for the most part, they take care of themselves, but I think it's a good experience for you to also engage with Americans, and you can have a good time as well. Now I'll talk about the application requirements. It's pretty simple, I think. So as I mentioned, if you have a degree in English or social sciences from any university that speaks English for the primary language, that works, as well as a degree in English from a university in Korea. You're qualified to apply for the position. And the first step is to take the interpreter officer exam, which you guys are preparing for now. And afterwards, there'll be one more additional interview with the Naval Academy faculty, which involves a demo lecture. So you might be asked to present about a topic in English for about 10 to 15 minutes. And afterwards, they'll judge your presentation and your interview, and they'll let you know if you passed or not. Any questions? I think it's pretty straightforward, so. Yeah. Yeah. Do you need the mic to ask the question again?
So you mentioned having an activity with Hanyang University. Could you tell me a little more about that?
Yeah, so that was a workshop for the faculty just to improve the way that they teach. And I think it's yearly during the breaks when the students are gone for their summer break. We have some downtime, and so we are able to partake in that sort of workshop. It's very, like, participation is up to you. Like, you don't have to go if you don't want to, but I thought it was a fun experience, so I ended up going. One thing that I didn't mention during the presentation is I think this position probably has the best work-life balance of any role in the Navy. Like, you don't really have to go on a ship if you don't want to. You don't have to do a lot of things besides teach midshipmen for the most part. I think if you do want to go on a ship, though, they will take you for things like the coastal training and the cruise training. You can apply to be part of that, especially if you have a background that might be relevant for that training. But for the most part, during the summers and winters, they let you sort of take your vacation days wherever you want. Like, for example, the first year, I went to Seattle for about 2 weeks. Yeah, I went to Seattle for 2 weeks to meet my friends. And I think recently, I'm planning to go to Japan. So I think if you work on a ship, you have vacation days, but it's very hard for you to actually take a large chunk of time to actually use those vacation days because you have to be on duty every 3 days or so. But with this position, you'll have a lot more downtime, I think.
I had a question about the application requirements.
Yeah.
So I think you mentioned it was a prerequisite to have a master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an exception to that at all, or is that like a strict rule, like a requirement that you need a master's degree?
So for this position, yes, but it's possible to go to the Naval Academy without a master's degree if you go through the normal ship side of things. But it's pretty unlikely that you'll be picked for that because I think it's pretty competitive. Well, I'm saying this is also competitive, but that's even more competitive because there are just a lot of people. Any other questions?
How many applicants would you say per
Um,
batch, I guess?
so I don't know exactly, but I do know because the requirements are sort of strict, I guess, like you need a master's degree and it has to be in like a social science field. I think there are a handful, but it's enough that you could do just fine, like as long as your scores are high and like your interview is good. The interview process itself is, I think, more important. So I think last year, I think there were like 2 people who applied. Yeah, it's very small, I think, because for the most part, I think not a lot of people know about it. And even if they do know about it, sometimes you don't qualify. Some people might not pass the interpreter officer exam, for example, and so that could be an issue.
He already has a question that he asked about in terms of application requirements. So
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think overall, I don't know if I'm doing a good job selling this, but you have a lot of opportunity to just be engaged with the U.S. Personnel, and like the midshipmen are also very fun to be around. And 10 hours a week is actually not a lot of teaching. And so you have a lot of time to conduct your own research, or even if it's not research, just like personal development. I think you have a lot of opportunity to do that. Yep.
holidays that you can get, like, is it 21 days?
Yeah,
like
it's 21 days at a base for all of the officers. But as I mentioned, you get to go on research trips for like 10 days, 10 business days, which is actually a lot. Like it's like 2 weeks, right? And for the most part, they will not be very strict about like where you go, as long as you're being involved in doing research, right? So yeah. No questions? All right, I guess I'll just wrap it up then.